Thank you for tuning in to another episode of InRange. This video is about the 1P87 Russian optic. This optic appears to have been developed around 2016 by JSC, or Jupiter Systems, and it's essentially the Russian equivalent to the EoTech. That said, it is very Russian in terms of its weight. It comes in at 10.5 ounces or 298 grams. It does come with a really cool little carrying case. Let's go ahead and come in for a closer look and talk about the optic's features, how you adjust it, and what it's been like to use on the clock. You've got your windage and elevation adjustment here with standard clicks. This is where your AA battery goes in, and these are the brightness adjustments. And as you can see, they're quite positive. In fact, they take effort to turn. They are absolutely not going to turn by accident. Other than that, it's hard to talk about any other features of this besides that it is Picatinny mounted, and I am using an RS regulate mount. If you're not using a RS regulate mount for your optics mounted needs on your AK, you're absolutely wrong. We're not sponsored by them or anything, but the RS Regulate mounts are better than any Russian thingy ever, no matter where you get it from. These are the guys to mount optics on your AK. But this is the optic. As you can see, quite simple. Nothing complex going on here. But it does come with a kit full of goodies. Let's go ahead and see what's in here. So, all right, I've opened up the zipper. Let's see what we've got in our kit full of goodies. We've got a carry strap for the bag. We've got a manual in squiggles, which is useless. We've got a mount. It does come with a Picatinny mount to put on your standard AK side rail. Again, this looks like a decent one, actually, but it is not RS Regulate, so we're not going to use that. And what else we got in here? Wrapping, and strangely, I don't get this at all, metal plates. How very Russian. I guess the bag wasn't heavy enough, so we needed to add these to add mass so it was something heavier to carry in the field. But that is what it is. Let's take a look through the optic. All right, so we're looking through the optic right now. I have it purposely pointed at something dark so you can see the reticle through the camera. It's a 60 MOA circle of dots, a 2 MOA dot in the middle, and a hash mark at the bottom, which is roughly your CQB 7 yard 0. What you aren't noticing yet is how much of a blue hue is imparted to the field of view based on the glass. If I go away from this, you're going to see how clear everything is, and there's not that blue hue. But when I come back behind the 1P87, there's a very significant blue tint, and that is a coating put on the glass to cause that reticle to be reflected in the optic. Really reminiscent of very early vortex optics, or what I would call cheap red dots here in the US. But you know, Russian imported thingies like this are generally not cheap. So you're dealing with kind of a cheaper blue hue than you would in a high quality, lower priced red dot normally here in the States. Doesn't mean it's unusable, but it's definitely a thing. And in fact, at Desert Brutality, Hemo was using this optic on the MDR, and we have a no paint policy at 2-Gun and Desert Brutality in general. And the very gray targets with a dirt background became very hard to discern through this blue hue. In fact, he had to aim where he knew they were, not where they were. And you could see that in the video. He's like kind of doing this prairie dog thing, looking up over the optic and then aiming where he knows that it is, but could not see it due to this blue coating on these lenses. Very significant. That said, other than that, it really is an EoTech in functionality in every other way. It looks a little different because it's Russian, it has to be different. But other than that, it's really a Russian EoTech.
Hi. 2.
It'll count.
You need the middle one and the one next to it to the right.
Yeah, I can see them.
High. Hit. One on just to the right of that one.
Right, all right.
Yep. Hit. Now you're moving.
So I used this optic in our Aliens themed match, and I had no issues with it on my MDR. We didn't have any very hard to discern targets that match, and that blue hue did not present a problem.
Hit. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hit. 2, 3, 4, 5.
But that blue hue does present a problem in many other environments, or can. That's something you should be aware of. Again, if you've ever used an early generation vortex, you've experienced the same thing. So with that said, coming in at 10.5 ounces or 298 grams, at a pretty hefty price tag. You can get these, I think, at this point at Bear Optics. They go for around 800 bucks. Can I recommend this? And unless you're doing something very Russian and you want Russian optic because Russian, I would say no, I cannot recommend this. It's too heavy, too bulky, battery life is too short, and that blue coating on the lenses is a real distraction when there are much higher quality red dot or even EoTech type reticles on the market from companies like HoloSun that do not have those issues, better battery life, and are really fantastic optics. But again, if you're really interested in interesting Russian optics, there's no reason not to get the 1P87. You just have to go into it with your eyes wide open knowing what you're getting. Guys, if you like this kind of content, please consider supporting us on Patreon. It is only Patreon supporters that keep InRangeTV alive. We get no funding, no monetization from any sponsors or any advertisers. It's only you, the viewer. If you already are, much appreciated. Thank you so much for keeping this channel alive. If you are not, please consider it. If you can't, we totally understand. Subscribe to one of our many distribution points. You can find them all at InRange.tv and share with your friends. Thank you.